For the paper mache mask, you are going to need some supplies. So you're going to need paper mache paste. You'll also need the masks, either the animal ones or the human ones. Any of those is fine. And you're going to need paper strips. So inside the big cabinet is where you're going to find the paper mache paste. So it's in these little tubs. Right below it is the mask, so you can use the human or the animal. That's totally fine. And then beside it is the paper. So either use what's in the box, or there's going to be like little half sheets that you'll have to tear up into smaller pieces. If you do need more paper, way up on the top shelf, there's tons of extra paper. You'll just have to tear it into smaller strips for you to use. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a paper mache mask. So the first thing we need to do is grab some tape and something to write with. And we are going to write our names on this piece of tape. So I'm going to tear it with my finger. Then write your name on the piece of tape so we know this mask is yours. So I'm going to write my name. Then I'm going to pick up the tape and put it inside the mask. Right, then for the mask, we will need our paper mache paste, or like our glue. And we will need papers. So there's lots of extra old papers. And we're gonna need this into tiny little strips. So I'm just gonna rip out a couple pages and rip them into small strips. Okay, so to get started, you are gonna take your glue and you are gonna dip in your fingers. So I'm just gonna dip my fingers into the glue, and you're gonna notice I'm not scooping the glue at all. My whole hand's not going to the glue, it's just my fingers. So I'm gonna dip them in, straight in. Okay, then I'm gonna take the glue that's on my hands and put it on like the inside of my hands and rub them together. Okay, this is just, we only need glue on the inside. You don't need it on the outside. Then once you have glue on both of your hands, you're going to grab a piece of paper and you're going to rub your hands together. So this gets glue on both sides of the paper, and that's what we need. So now that I have glue on both sides of the paper, I'm going to put it on my mask. And then I'm going to use my hand and smooth it out so there's no like bumps in the paper. There's always going to be a little bit of wrinkles, but we don't want like our paper not to be sticking to the mask. Okay, then I still have glue on my hands, so I'm going to just grab another piece of paper, rub them together, and then I'll place it on my mask. Most of the time there's ink on one side, and then the other side you might find that's like mostly white. Whatever side is mostly white, you want to stick facing up. So I don't want to put this side up. I want to put the white side up. This will make it easier for when we paint your mask. It's hard to cover up over all the ink. So keep going, placing it on, and then smoothing it with your fingers. We are going to need to cover the whole mask 5 times. So we need 5 layers. And a huge part that a lot of kids forget about is the sides. So don't forget, you have to get it on the forehead and on the chin, everywhere. So my hands still have the same glue on because my hands are still wet with glue. So I want you to be using the glue that's on your hands. And then once your hands need more glue and they're getting dry, then dip in more. Your hands should not be like have globs of glue on them. If they do, we're not following directions. So I still have a little bit of glue on my hands. I might get one more paper maybe. Okay, and then remember, put it on your mask and smooth. So now that my hands need more glue, I'm going to just dip them in, rub them together, and then get more paper. So we need like 5 layers. And don't forget about the sides. The more layers you have, the stronger it'll be. But you need around 5, and if you're smoothing, that's perfect. So the rest of the video, I'm going to be adding my layers. So I'm going to speed up this video. All right, now that I think I have 5 layers on, I'm gonna take my hands and act like I'm smoothing out all the wrinkles. So I'm just rubbing my hands over. You'll see if there's any bubbles. A lot of the times we lose the shape of our nose and our mouth. So if I'm just pressing down on those areas, hopefully we can start to see that there's a nose and mouth still there. And you might see some bubbles, or if there's any paper still standing up. We just want to smooth it out before we let it dry. So I'm just rubbing my hands over the top. Okay, now I am gonna set it on the black drying racks and let it dry, and then after this I can paint it. When you're done working, you are gonna set it on the metal racks for it to dry until next art class. When you come back the next day, you might wanna check if it's thick enough, if you have enough layers. So to do that, you have to take it off the form. Taking it off the plastic-like form can be kind of tricky. So here's what I always do. I kind of pull back on the plastic, and I usually start in like by the head. And then you grab this paper and you kind of slide it. Some of them are a little harder to get off than others. Then once you have it off, you're gonna test if it's strong enough. So if you have it where you feel like it's strong, it's not really crinkling, you know that there's more than one paper, then you can use it and start painting. But if it's really flimsy, it feels like it's gonna break, make sure you put it back on this plastic and then add more layers to it, and then it'll need to dry again.